About to go live. Hopefully everybody's seeing properly. Right. Shalom, shalom, shalom to the house of Israel. I start off this lesson first and foremost by giving all honor, all glory, all praises to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Harakakudash. Double honors to the apostles, prophets, and teachers of Great Millstone, our spiritual fathers who rule well, teach well. Peace and salutations to the sincere Akim and Akwat who follow this truth in all diligence and all sincerity. I'm your brother Abaniah of the Camp Heralds of Yahushai coming to you with another hopefully edifying lesson. All right. This is not a black Hebrew Israelite teaching. This is not a black Hebrew Israelite doctrine. Salvation is predominantly for the people you know today as the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians, who are Israelites by seed line. Also, we have the confusion of faces known in the scriptures as the speckled bird heritage of Yahweh, who are Israelites also by seed line, but look like the so-called other nations in appearance. Right? So the topic of the lesson today is entitled Teamwork amongst the Brotherhood. Teamwork. Right? Now, why is this such an important lesson in this time? Is because the commission was given by Yahushai when he sent out his disciples two by two, right? He sent them out two by two and he sent them to go and preach the gospel. And teamwork is what they needed to have, Salakia. Teamwork was important because the brotherhood would be the body of believers. But teamwork among the brotherhood is necessary where brothers will be able to work together with other brothers. You're meshing similar personalities or personalities that work well together, right? So knowing the state of your flock, knowing the skills, the strengths and the weaknesses of the men under your charge is important to be able to have successful teamwork amongst them. This is Ecclesiastes chapter 4, reading from verses 9 to verses 12. I'm reading it in the NLT. It says, hopefully I can make it a case where you guys can see it better, right? It says, two people are better than one. For if they can help each other, sorry, let me read it again. Two people are better than one, for they can help each other succeed. So this was the wisdom behind why Yahushai sent out the disciples two by two, right? And in case most of you who still ain't come to the understanding or the realization, Yahushai, he was Solomon. Solomon wrote the book of Ecclesiastes, right? So this was the wisdom of Solomon, the wisdom of Yahushai, long before he came as Yahushai, right? So he sent his disciples out two by two. Why? For they can help each other succeed. What was the mission? To go and preach the gospel to what? The lost tribes of Israel, or to the scattered, no, let me not say lost, the scattered tribes of Israel that was scattered among the various nations. It says if one person falls, the other can reach out and help. But someone who falls alone is in real trouble. You know, this is why you have something called the body system. When you look at firefighters, security, police officers, they have something known as a partner. Because why? Two is better than one. One person can end up in a situation, a medical emergency. If he's alone, he can die. Or she can die because why? They are alone. There is nobody to render aid or to call for help. So the body system is crucial for the survival and the continued survival of both persons, right? Verse 11, likewise, two people lying close together can keep each other warm. But how can one be warm alone? A person standing alone can be attacked and defeated, but two can stand back to back and conquer. Three are even better, For a triple braided cord is not easily broken. You could have two pieces of a piece of twine, and you could pull it and break it. But when you plait it together, because when you look at rope, a rope is strands plaited together to create a tight bond. And that tight bond is going to prevent that rope from breaking easily. It's able to bear more weight. So the scripture tells us bear each other's burdens, right? As believers in this truth, and as men being part of the body, even women, we're supposed to bear one another burdens because it's going to make it easier. The burden wouldn't be on one person, which could cause them to get tired, which could cause them to get frustrated, and they fall out, right? So the more people together united in the common cause of this truth and Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, the better they will all fare. Because the safety of each other is the highest priority to each and every member. We know the highest priority is Yahweh Hashem Yahushai and this work. Directly under it is the safety of each other. So when Yahushai said, when he was asked about the great commandment, he said the first and greatest commandment is to what? Love the Lord thy God, Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, with all thy heart, with all thy soul, and with all thy mind. And he goes on to say, the second is like unto it, thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. So this is the importance of teamwork, right, among the brotherhood. Right? Reading verse 12 one more time. A person standing alone can be attacked and defeated, but two can stand back to back and conquer. Right? Three are even better, for a triple braided cord is not easily broken. Let's get another precept. Let's go to 1 Corinthians. Corinthians chapter 12. We're going to read from verses 12. And this is the fundamentals of this truth. And Yahushua was teaching it. The disciples were teaching it, and a lot of people didn't understand it because a lot of parables and similitudes were used. Right? Now, if you notice the heading there, it says, one body has many parts. Right? One body has many parts. 1 Corinthians 12 verses 12. The human body has many parts. So the similitude, the metaphor, the connotation to teach the spiritual point is the use of the human body, right? The human body has many parts, but the many parts make up one whole body. So when you're dealing with a body, it's inclusive of all the various parts that make up the body. And all parts do not perform the same function, but all parts are united for the upkeep of the body. And this is why when one part of the body goes wrong, the other parts of the body is affected. Because why teamwork within the body parts is necessary for the continual good health of the organism. So this is why it's so appropriate when Yahweh Hashem Yahushua and the disciples use the similitude and the metaphor to the human body to teach teamwork among the brotherhood, right? But the many parts make up one whole body. So it is with the body of Hamashiach. Some of us are Jews, some are Gentiles. Now, don't get confused with the term Jew and Gentile. Jew only refer to the three tribes, known as the southern kingdom, Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. Right? What about the other 10 tribes? Now, why they were called Gentiles is because of the various captivities. We had those of our people who willingly surrendered to the ways of the other nations and to the worship of their gods. We had people who was forced to do so. Nevertheless, our people were worshiping idols. They had that Gentile state of mind. And they were coming back to the knowledge that they were Israel and what was required. And what a lot of people don't know, that Hellenized Jews were also Gentiles. So the term Gentile is actually a broad term, not specific to non-Israelites, but it can also include Israelite people, people who were not following their customs, people who were brought up not knowing they were Israelites, people who knew they were Israelites, but following after heathen customs. So he said, even though that's the case, they are still what? Of the same body, of the same tree, right? If I have an apple tree and I cut off a branch and I discard the branch a mile away, when you see that branch, you will be able to identify that hey, this is an apple branch. It was cut from an apple tree. Even though you find it in another location, not connected to the actual tree, you could still identify it as part of an apple tree. So regardless of us being Israelites, being Hellenized, being called Gentiles, being called heathens, being called pagans, we were still part of that. We still come from that tree. It says some are slaves and some are free, but we have all been baptized into one body by one Spirit, and we all share the same Spirit. Now, right now, the scripture does tell us 2/3 of our people don't share our spirit. There is no desire on their part for the service of Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushai. So they are the ones constantly coming against the body. That is how you know the body sick. When the body not working in that proper total alignment. That is when you realize sickness is present in the body, and steps and measures must be taken to correct it. It says, yes, the body has many different parts, not just one. If the foot says, I am not a part of the body because I am not a hand, that does not make it any less a part of the body. Notice what it says. So just because you had Israelites who are not willing to be identified as Israelites, it didn't stop them being Israelites. And just because our people, not knowing that they were Israelites, following pagan customs and pagan traditions, didn't make them any less Israelites. Now, although there was not in total alignment to their created purpose, they were still the Lord's chosen people. Right? And there are times where the body, there's ailment in the body, where the amputation of certain limbs becomes necessary for the survival of the body. This is why Yahushua gave this Yappa parable, or a Yappa metaphor, where he says, it's better to enter into the kingdom with one hand, one foot. It's better to enter the kingdom with one eye. Because if your right eye offend thee, pluck it out. If your left hand offend thee, cut it off. He wasn't talking about the cutting off of your actual limbs, but he was using it in similitude talk to represent those who are a part of the body no longer want to function for the well-being of the body. And it becomes necessary to perform an amputation. Right? And because why? They no longer have the teamwork that's necessary for the continued good health and well-being and function of the body. Right? Verse 16. And if the ear says, I am not a part of the body because I am not an eye, what would that make it any less a part of the body? If the whole body were an eye, how would he hear? Or if your whole body were an ear, how would he smell anything? But our bodies have many parts, and the Most High has put each part just where he wants it. So everyone has a role and a function within this truth. Everyone has a role or a function in this truth. And as such, no brother should envy another brother. The hand cannot envy the foot, nor should the foot envy the hand. It says, but our bodies have many parts, and the Most High has put each part where he wants it. How strange a body would be if it only had one part. Could it actually be considered a body? Yes, there are many parts, but only one body. The eye can never say to the hand, I don't need you. The head can't say to the feet, I don't need you. In fact, some parts of the body that seem weakest and least important are actually the most necessary. Let that sink in. We have a lot of men who figure that they are the brains of this outfit, that prophecy would somehow cease if they're not out here proclaiming it. And as such, they develop a spirit that they're not trying to teach the younger brothers or bring them up in the proper understanding so they themselves could go out and be teachers. They gatekeeping the truth. Because why? They believe they actually is the most important part of the body. Right? But what the scripture said, the part regarded as the least is often actually the most necessary or the most important. If I were to ask you, what more important, the pancreas or the hand? Some people might say, I need my hand, I don't really need my pancreas. But if you understand, the pancreas is actually more important than a hand. For you to continue to live, you need the pancreas to perform its function of producing insulin. Yes, you can be able to live with one hand, perform tasks with one hand. But you wouldn't have much a quality of life without your pancreas. So again, parts that are often considered least important turns out to be the most important. Persons wouldn't regard their health, and they would eat all the type of food that damage the pancreas. But you go see a man being extra cautious that he don't lose a limb. Right? Verse 23. And the parts we regard as less honorable are those we clothe with the greatest care. So we carefully protect those parts that should not be seen. While the most honorable parts do not require this special care, take for instance your limbs, your internal parts need more care. So the Most High has put the body together such that extra honor and care are given to those parts that have less dignity. Right? This makes for harmony among the members. Remember I said every brother would complement each other. One brother's strength would be able to cancel out another brother's weakness. So that's why it becomes necessary to have more than one person. When you look at a camp, although some brothers, for the sake of the Lord, not at this time, raise up another member to be a part of the camp, they may have to stand up alone in their particular area. Although they are not alone, for being in that camp, in that particular area by themselves, it's necessary that they stand in that lot for that time being. Some brothers are a little more fortunate, where you may have 2, 3, 4, as much as 7 brothers in a camp. So each brother able to help each other. Each brother brings something unique to the cause. It said if one part suffers, all the parts suffer with it. Remember I was saying that with the body? When something off with the body, the whole body is affected. It feels it. And if one part is honored, all the parts are glad. All of you together are Hamashiach's body, and each of you is a part of it. So if you want to continue to function in that capacity as the members of Hamashiach Yahushai, the body parts must be in alignment. It must be working together. Let's get Proverbs 27 verse 17. Proverbs 27 and verse 17. It says, as iron sharpens iron, Yeah, can you see it? Let me see if I can zoom into it. Right. As iron sharpens iron, so a friend sharpens a friend. The scripture also tells us provoke one another to good works. So that is the iron sharpening iron. That is the teamwork. And that provocation is done in righteousness. We have an unrighteous aspect of provocation. And people tend to remember that. People only think that's the only aspect to provocation or to the word provoke. When people hear the word provoke, they usually apply a negative connotation and understanding to it. But for those of us who are in the know, in the truth, everything has a righteous application and an unrighteous application, right? So provoking your brother to good works, iron sharpens iron, so a friend sharpens a friend. Teamwork, right? For those of you who are more from the Caribbean, where we use machetes to clear grass, to cut down trees, there are two things you would always find with a person who does this type of labor. He always has a machete and a file. The file is used to sharpen the machete, and the machete is used to clear the land. With the file alone, you can't clear the land. And with the machete, without the file, you can't clear the land. Because the machete is going to be dull and it's not going to cut. So both are indeed important. As iron sharpens iron, so a friend sharpens a friend. Right? Let's get that. Let's get Hebrews 10. Hebrews 10, 24 and 25. Hebrews 10, 24 and 25. Let us think of ways to motivate one another to acts of love and good works. Now, I'm reading it in the NLT, right? But if you read it in the KJV, it's going to talk about provoke one another to good works. And that provoke in the righteous aspect means to motivate, right? Let us think of ways to motivate one another to acts of love and good works. And let us not neglect our meeting together as some people do, but encourage one another, especially now that the days of his return is drawing near. So extra emphasis and importance on the gathering of brothers to comfort, to encourage, and to motivate each other, because the imminent return of Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, is right there. So we need it now more than ever. And every brother must contribute to the cause. You can't be pulling stones. Pulling stones is an old Caribbean adage which refers to you're not doing anything. You're leeching off of the work of others for your benefit. You become like a parasite. So in the Caribbean, we would say you're pulling stones, right? Some men will use, hey, you're swinging on my balls. And that hurts. If somebody was to go and hold on to your, picture yourself as a man, and somebody holds on to your nutsack and pulls to try and swing, that's going to cause you immense pain. Unfortunately, you have some brothers among the brotherhood who cause the brotherhood pain because they're not producing. They're holding on to the axe and the diligence of other men for their own benefit, and they're not giving back anything. They're not applying the scriptures, a man sow it, that shall he reap. They're not applying the scriptures that says to love one another, right? Everything was given by Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai for us to foster teamwork. And the apostles also taught the fostering of teamwork. Romans chapter 12 from verses 4 to 8, it says, just as our bodies have many parts, and each part has a special function, so it is with Hamashiach's body. Right? We are different parts of one body, and we all belong together. Amos 3 and verses 3, I think, Amos 3 and verse 4, can two walk together unless they agree? When you look at the definition of friends, friends are two different individuals who agree, who find comfort and solace in each other, and who work towards a particular goal. There's a scripture that says, all flesh consorted with his kind, and a man will cleave to his like. So we are many parts of one body, and we all belong to each other. In his grace, the Most High had given us different gifts for doing certain things well. So every brother has been blessed with a gift, right? And the gift I bless with is not the same gift my brother may have. And the gift my brother blessed with is not the same gift that I have. But what's going to happen with teamwork, both persons with the various gifts that they were blessed with come together, and they're able to do the work more efficiently as opposed to doing it alone. They could accomplish more. They could do more. They could support one another and encourage one another to go further. Right? The Most High had given us gifts for doing certain things well. So if the Most High has given you the ability to prophesy, speak out with as much faith as the Most High has given you. All brothers wasn't called to be prophets. Different roles and function. This is the importance of teamwork. Everybody on the team do not perform the same function, but everybody on the team work towards the same goal, the unified and united goal. Their functions and their roles vary, but all is equally important. When you look at a clock, different parts, different cogs, different sizes mesh together to turn the hour hand, the second hand, the minute hand. So it could tell the time effectively, and all must be working. There mustn't be no disagreements between them. It says, verse 7, if your gift is serving others, serve them well. It's called the gift of help. Some person in this truth, their gift is to help others. Whether to give alms, whether to give up at the time, to take care of someone who ill, someone who need help in probably repairing a house or repairing the house. If your gift is serving others, serve them well. If you are a teacher, teach well. If your gift is to encourage others, be encouraging. It has some brothers you could call for a word of encouragement. You're feeling down, and these brothers give you a word of encouragement with some scripture, and watch me, you feel like you could go and fight a lion afterwards. Don't underestimate the encouraging words of a brother. And this is something often regarded as small and minuscule. Some men, some brothers don't see it as important as the men who stand up, who prophesy. But that is not what the scripture is saying. Often what is regarded as least and insignificant actually turns out to be most important. If your gift is encouraging others, be encouraging. If it is giving, give generously. Some brothers give alms. Some brothers, you don't see them standing on the highways and byways. They give alms. But what the scripture says, alms deliver it from death. A brother can make it into the kingdom simply by giving alms. Every brother has their specific role and function. Shalom, Malakamat, Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, Bashem Rakakadash Barakata. The brother gave a precept, Galatians 6:10. As we have therefore opportunity, let us do good unto all men, especially unto them who are of the household of faith. There's a Yapa precept. Yapa precept. Teamwork. Caring about your brother. You see, when you're in a team, you're supposed to care about the welfare and the well-being of your fellow teammate. And among the brotherhood, they are also your team members. You could grow up in a family, father, mother, brothers, and sisters. You belong to a family. But they have no teamwork, There is no unity, Everybody doing their own thing, their own separate thing. But what happened? The family suffers because why? There is no closeness, there is no unity, there is no getting to know each other, there is no caring about the well being of another person. And we are social beings. We were created with the capacity to love and to receive love. The receiving of love causes us to thrive. But do you know that giving love also causes us to thrive as well? Both equally important. Giving love and receiving love is necessary for the individual development and well-being, both mentally and physically, of each and every person. We were never created or meant to be hermits. You go in one corner away from everybody and you're just alone. No, you don't function, you suffer. The body suffers. All you must watch people who go to live that hermit lifestyle. Look it up on YouTube. When they do decide to come back, or you go and you decide to do a welfare check on them, every hair on the head does turn gray. Why is that? And these people, some of them might be 40 years old, now entering 50, but every hair on the body gray or white. Some of them, the body frail. You don't see them looking healthy. And most importantly, when you look in the eyes, the mind looks fractured. Because why? The loneliness. In the body of a Mashiach, we supposed to what? Care about the well-being of the other person. It says, if the Most High, in same verse 8, has given you leadership ability, take the responsibility seriously. If you're not having that heart where you desire to be a judge, but your heart's desire is not to put down evil, don't take the position of a judge. Don't take the leadership role. If you have leadership ability, you're supposed to do what a leader does. Take the responsibility seriously. And if you have, and mind you, all of us have been given and entrusted with a responsibility in the regards to the pushing of this truth on the earth. So each and every one of us have that responsibility. Treat it seriously. And if you have a gift for showing kindness to others, do it gladly. Don't just pretend to love others. Don't pretend to love others. Really love them. Hate what is wrong. Hold tightly to that which is good. Love each other with genuine affection and take delight in honoring each other. All these are the fundamentals of teamwork. When you look at these big corporations and conglomerates, when they have their annual meeting among the staff, they always bring somebody who teaches teamwork, how to care about the well-being of those on your team. It says, never be elastically. Rejoice in our confident hope. Be patient in trouble. Keep on praying. Teamwork is like a marriage. Two different individuals coming together for what? A common united goal, purpose, and destination. It's like a marriage. And what a lot of people don't realize, even the wicked people have teamwork amongst themselves. Remember, things and words can be applied in righteousness and in unrighteousness. Teamwork among the body of believers, the brotherhood, in righteous ways, in righteous actions, is in righteousness. But among the wicked, where it's being applied to oppress, to unalive, to make one another person or another group of people life miserable, is teamwork applied in unrighteousness. And we get it. Let's go. Let's bring out a few precepts with that. We go to Psalms chapter 94 and verses 16. Psalms 94 and verse 16. It says, who will protect me from the wicked? Who will stand up for me against evildoers? So this is a question David is asking. Because if he's alone, what did we read in Ecclesiastes chapter 4 from 9 to 12? If one is alone, how could he stand? How could he keep warm? If he falls, who is going to pick him up? So David is asking that same question. Who will protect me from the wicked? Who will stand up for me against evildoers? Notice what he goes on to say in verse 17. Unless the Lord Yahweh had helped me, I would soon have settled in the silence of the grave. So our ultimate help is Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai. Are we saying the Lord didn't provide other ways for us to stand? This is why he gave us the body, the brotherhood. But let me drop down to verse 21. Hear what David says. Hear what? Maybe I should just keep reading. Verse 17, unless Yahweh had helped me, I would soon have settled in the silence of the grave. I cried out, I am slipping, but your unfailing love, O Yahweh, supported me. When doubts filled my mind, your comfort gave me renewed hope and cheer. What did we read in the previous verse in Romans 12? If your gift is to encourage others, do what? Encourage them. So the Lord could send that word of encouragement with another brother that could prevent you, to help you from feeling lost, to keep you from slipping. He says, when doubts fill my mind, your comfort gave me renewed hope and cheer. Can unjust leaders claim that the Most High is on their side? Leaders whose decree permit injustice? No, they can't claim that. A sister reached out to me last night and asked my thoughts on a video that she did in regards to injustices taking place in the country. And I gave her the scriptures. Sirach 7 and verses 6 in the JNT. Desire not, just loosely quoting it, desire not to be a judge unless you have the what? The fortitude, the desire to put down injustice, to call out wrongdoing. No leader can claim God working with them and they being unjust. I don't care how much Bible they put their hand on, how much prayer they say. If they're not following the ways and the guidelines of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai to good governance, the Lord is not dealing with them. It says, verse 21, they gang up against the righteous and condemn the innocent to death. So you're seeing there is teamwork among the wicked. Why is there not teamwork among the body of believers? Why that's supposed to be a hard or a foreign concept? It's not supposed to be. If the wicked gathering together to accomplish their goal, why the righteous not gathering together to accomplish the goals of a Mashiach Yahushai? Let's get Psalms 83 now. Psalms 83. It says, O power, be not silent, be not deaf, and be not quiet, O power. Don't you hear the uproar of your enemies? Don't you see that your arrogant enemies are rising up? They devise crafty schemes against your people. They conspire against your precious ones. Come, they say, let us wipe out Israel as a nation. We will destroy the very memory of its existence. Verse 5, yes, this was their unanimous decision. They signed a treaty as allies against you. So they had what? Teamwork among themselves. They were confederate. And when you go on, it gave a list of the nations that had teamwork among themselves, united in a common cause to do what? To remove from existence the Lord's chosen people. Let's get Psalms chapter 2, verses 1 to 3. So you're seeing there is teamwork even among the wicked. Why the righteous can't come together? This is Psalms chapter 2, verses 1 to 3. It says, why are the nations so angry? Why do they waste their time with futile plans? The kings of the earth prepare for battle. The rulers plot together against Yahweh and against his anointed one. It says, let us break their chains. They cry and free ourselves from slavery to the Most High. So you realize they plot together They are united together to come against the anointed of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai. So even the wicked understand the importance of teamwork. No one wicked person could accomplish their agenda. They need the support and the help of other wicked persons like themselves. This is the purpose of forming alliances, treaties. So among the body of believers, teamwork should be highly emphasized. I want to get a precept here in Revelation chapter 17. Revelation chapter 17, reading from verses 12 to 17. It says, now I'm showing you according to the scriptures, right? Line upon line, precept upon precept, that when you look at the events of the day, you're going to realize that there are kingdoms who have formed alliances to push their agenda. This is why you have the NATO, you have the EU, those conglomerate of nations coming together under a united cause. And this is part of prophecy. And teamwork is also part of end-time prophecy. Teamwork is going to be found among who? The body of believers, the elect. But teamwork in unrighteousness is going to be found among the body of the wicked. Right? This is Revelation 17 verses 12. It says, the 10 horns of the beast are 10 kings that have not yet risen to power. They will be appointed to their kingdoms for one brief moment to reign with the beast. They will all agree, notice, they will all agree to give him their power and authority. Together, this is teamwork, they will go to war against the Lamb, but the Lamb will defeat them because he is Lord of all lords and King of all kings. And his called and chosen and faithful ones will be with him. Verse 15. Then the angel said to me, the waters which the prostitute is ruling represents masses of people of every nation and language. The scarlet beast and his 10 horns all hate the prostitute. They will strip her naked, eat her flesh, and burn her remains with fire. Why? For the Most High has put a plan into their minds, a plan that will carry out his purposes. They will agree to give their authority to the scarlet beast, so the words of the Most High will be fulfilled. And let's read verse 18. And this woman you saw in your vision represents the great city that rules over the kings of the world. Who and what is that great city that rule over the kings of the world, that issues decrees and other nations scamper to follow, to get in line with? I'm going to leave it for you to say it in the comment section. So with that, as you could see, the importance of the lesson teamwork among the brotherhood. The wicked are united in their cause. It is time the body of a Mashiach unites in the cause of righteousness. I'm not calling for unity in all Israel, because at this time there is no unity in all Israel. I am calling for the body of believers, brothers, to exemplify and to encourage teamwork among one another. So with that, I pray that this lesson was edifying through the spirit and power of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai. I'm your brother Abaniah of the camp, Heralds of Yahushai, saying Shalom, Labakariam, and see you, beloved Akiam and Akwath, for the next live lesson. Asher Shabbat to the household of faith. Shalom.